Another morning searching for truth. Welcome, people. Recently I've been looking into the work of John Levin, Michelle Gibson, John Cook, to name a few, looking at the ancient Tartarian wisdom, the reset, mud flood, and fake history in general. As we can see, looking at architecture and buildings from the past, something just isn't quite right. We've lost, or there's been some hidden technology along the way. I thought I'd start the day off by looking at the film archives to see if I can find some of the oldest footage and see if anything looks odd in the footage. So I started my day off on the BMFI website, the British Film Institute, which was quite unsuccessful, as it's very hard to get any kind of videos without filling in contact forms and jumping over hurdles. But through finding another website, I came across an old Olympic video of 1908 in London, and then that led me on this journey. The photos that you're seeing at the moment are some of the findings, but I'm going to actually take you on that journey step by step as I screen recorded the whole thing. This Olympic stadium, big question marks around it. The video which first prompted me, as you see, has got huge columns in the stadium. That went on to find a stadium called Olympica, which is built within its own train station. Wood Lane held almost 6 million people, which then took me on a journey to other world exhibitions, the main one being France, which apparently held 30 million people and demonstrated near enough every culture and city in existence, past and present. So the day started off on the BFI website, which, as I say, to find any kind of footage, it's quite easy to do so, but then to access that footage seems nearly impossible. I thought I'd start the day off searching for world fairs and exhibitions, as they seem to show the marvel and spectacle buildings that we no longer see today. The results came in, which there was quite a few on the BFMI website, but as you can see, I couldn't access anything. Can't see the image, can't see the footage. Special collections. So, accessible archives, World Fair, databases, come to the National Archives. Oldest footage they have, 1908. Seems to be King Edward. Everyone in some kind of military uniform. All horseback, and again look at the buildings in the back. And as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, not too much, but then this, I'm like, oh, okay, the columns. Those columns are huge. Look at the people standing next to the columns on the video. That don't make sense. So obviously this place, this Olympic Stadium, was something spectacular, which got me interested. So now I'm thinking, okay, where was this Olympic Stadium? What was it? And who built it? Again, I'm looking at the people in the audience, and I'm thinking this was a big stadium for, 1908. Something's not right. And then we go to Google, searching where were they held. We find out from a pamphlet that they were held at Shepherd's Bush in London. Okay, I've heard of Shepherd's Bush in London, but obviously there's more to Shepherd's Bush. This Olympic sport was an international multi-hold event that was supposed to be held in Rome, but wasn't due to a violent eruption. Okay. And this was the 4th chronological Olympic Games. Okay, I need to find more out about Shepherd's Bush and the actual stadium then. So the great stadium, Shepherd's Bush, just north Olympic 08, was constructed for the Olympics and opened by King Edward VII on April the 27th, 1908, and was a marvel. Look at the size of it. Wow. Okay, so Shepherd's Bush, blah blah blah. Originally a market, followed a measure of a railway. 1908, Shepherd's Bush became one of the principal sites of the Summer Olympics, hosted for the Franco British exhibition, known as the Bush Exhibition or the Great White City, a large public fair. Okay, which attracted 8 million visitors. And later occupied by the BBC. Interesting. And in 2008 it became the Westfield London Shopping Centre. Underground. In 19th century, Shepherd's Bush Lion was formerly the Prince Wales. The Summer Olympic was held and therefore it was a great stadium, the White City Stadium, and it states this was an immense technological marvel, the first Olympic stadium built in Britain or in the United Kingdom. It was used for the athletics up until 1914, turned into a greyhound racing track, then into a football ground for QPR. And in 1985 it was demolished and replaced by the BBC White Centre. So this exhibition was to basically, you know, they're saying for some festivities in relation to some treaty amongst France and England, but look at the size of this thing, the largest exhibition in Britain, co-sponsored by 2 countries, 140 acres of artificial lake, immense network of elaborate styles. One of the main attractions was a flip-flop crane that you could view the city. There was villages, Irish villages, Senegalese villages. Little sign of it remains today. And then going down there seems to be a few more exhibitions. That was a site taken from the flip-flop. The Great White City of 1908. Wow. And then it was turned into a television centre for the BBC, Britain's biggest broadcasting station. Wood Lane Tube Station was served the Central Line from 1908 to 1920. It was only in use for 12 years, and it was built to serve that exhibition of the Olympic Games. It was built to serve that. That's how big this thing was. John Belcher, the chief architect, another guy probably just handed the rewards from fantasticness. In 1937 a large was cleared, there was a balloon accident. Okay, there's a picture of it. The Elite Gardens and the Franco British exhibition. This was Earl's Court exhibition. This was another exhibition very similar. seemed to be just a silly amount of these exhibitions at the time. That treaty marked some kind of peace between France and England. The White City Palace, BBC Media Village, 17-acre site at Wood Lane. This was interesting. The National Agricultural Hall Company was founded in 1884 and built an agricultural hall named Olympia. He purchased Olympia and exchanged hands several times. It was known for its expensive shows and exhibitions by Imre Kiralfy, the Venice in London, Constantine the Oriental. I found some of these pamphlets for these things and they looked absolutely amazing. These exhibitions and shows that were held were just something else. There was another one there for Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, which proved hugely successful. And the illustration for some of these designs is crazy. You know, when you looked at the Venice one, it was just absolutely huge. Who knows how big some of these were? And then when you look at the descriptions that were when reporters went there and the spectacle of it, it just seems another level. Another exhibition, the Venice in London. This was before the Olympic Games though, so a lot of this was happening before the Olympic Games. Look at these are what modern day circuses are based on, but just at a miniature scale. It seemed these places had whole zoos and gardens, castles and theatres that we can't even understand the size of today. It's Indian Spectacle, the Victorian Era Exhibition, Military Exhibition, International Fire Exhibition. Why all these exhibitions? It's almost like they were re-educating people or teaching people about the new world. Where had these people come from? Had they been hunted under a rock or brought in from a spaceship to not? Yeah, it talks about Royal Military Naval tournaments taking place that started in 1906 as well. Almost spectacles of military might and reenactments of wars and conflicts on grand scales. This was basically like a catalogue, a pamphlet that I found of the fire exhibition, the international one in 1903 at Earl's Court. And this Earl's Court was huge, as you can see from the map, but the map I'll go back to a little bit later in a little bit more depth. And the things that it's describing, you know, there's the military exhibition, the International Universe exhibition. This is from the Paris 1878 exhibition, and that one is just huge. It's said to have up to 30 million, if not more, people there. Where else on earth have you ever would have 30 million people in one place? It's just absolutely crazy. And then the pamphlets describe what you walk through, the Queen's Court and what it's like, the German court, and he talks about it just being absolutely immense. And from what you can see from the photos, that's just, you know, one of the courts. The giant chutes, obviously for transportation, the water chutes. It's like you know, a Disneyland but more spectacular. Alton Towers for the people in the UK, such as myself, transported round on tubes. And elevators, theatres. Say a fiery volcano, lava river, the Imperial Court, past sites of explosive splendour. "500 firemen fighting flames reenacted twice daily. This is not an illusion." Look at the photo there. The spectacle, wow. They were reenacting, you know, like grand scale. The historical art loan collection. Why would you be loaning out art and history? It's like these people were given things, were given countries and businesses and purpose and the summer theatre, picturesque living records. And then these places, which were like, as I say, Disneyland, had restaurants upon restaurants and bars and refreshments that you could get on your way around. Very, very odd. But odd in terms of we not knowing what's going on, but at the same time beautiful, spectacular places that we in our lives would never see the likes of today. Again, just some of the photos are just epic. Warwick Castle upon Avon, which is up by me, so I don't understand the relevance down in London. Unless this place covered a larger scale than what we think. Then it talks about scale volcano eruptions, the spectacle that recalls realistic impressments, and the survivors of in the picture, you know, it says it all. The destruction of Saint Pierre, 30,000 lives in May 1902. And here it says, not imitation, but stupendous realism. Stupendous realism, you know. So it's not imitation. Remember what they're telling you, it's not imitation. Closer look at the map. As you can see, the Emperor's Paris, the Piccade, England, They've got railway districts, lakes, the Queen's Court. This is the same kind of map as well if you was to go to a theme park and you get it and it's just an exhibition, but these exhibitions, the scales of them, wow. And these would be the directors of the exhibition, managing director, the people in charge. There would be some interesting names to research. This is a table of contents and the exhibits. It's funny how Alicia. So again, similar to the firefighting one, but this one all to do with military. And the whole thing again changed to the same spectacle as the firefighting, but just different in terms of the military. And then the International Universal Exhibition, and the same kind of thing all over again. They describe some interesting things about a Moorish camp, and also the world's first incubators. The Moorish camp and the original infant incubators. And then finally we move on to Paris. And this one was of a universal scale. The exhibition holds supposedly 30 million people. And I'm just going to let you watch this one as I've zoomed in the pictures. But as you can see from the bottom, although I don't read French, a lot of them talk and look like particular places. One says Peru, one says America, one talks about China, Japan. And it's almost like they built cities imitating or showing the different cultures and the vastness that they built. Entire buildings, entire plays put on, hundreds of people in costume. It reminds me of scenes from Westworld, the TV program, where an amusement park, massive scale the size of a continent, was built people to interact and have fun. I wonder what this exhibition amusement park's purpose was. And at the end of the film you'll see a depiction. It seems like a hall of hundreds of thousands if not millions of people, and the translation translates to Palace of Industry sold and distribution of awards to laureates. Like these cities were being shown off and then rewarded to laureates. If anybody can shed more light on this, come back to me. And that concludes my search for today. Blessings to you all, love and peace. May we continue to search for the truth.